Started. Open our regular meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission on 5/28 on October the 11th. And if we could have roll call, please, Ms. Tara.
Okay. Elizabeth Kelly.
Here.
Derek.
Here.
Carlos.
Here.
Chris.
Here.
Lauren.
Here.
Okay, next, do we have any public comments from anybody here or online? Hearing none, let's move to our approval of the minutes. And again, I'm understanding that we have 3 different meetings pending, and I think the only one we can actually vote on is the September 20th.
I asked her about it and she stated that you could go ahead and approve it, since you can also go back and look and see the videos and everything, so you'd be able to see it if that was the case.
So what the issue is, just for explanation purposes, on these prior meetings, April 12th and August 9th, we don't have a quorum, we don't have the people who attended those meetings here to actually vote on them, so I wasn't sure what we needed to do. But if you're saying that we could go ahead and have a motion to approve minutes from April 12th, August 9th, and September 30th. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those,
Aye.
3 months of minutes are approved. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's move on to our public hearings for this evening, and we'll go ahead and open the first one, which is to hear about a certificate of appropriateness application for 155 East Main Street. And then we have just a summary of the staff report, and then we'll hear from the applicant as well.
Okay. Sorry.
It's a lot of paper.
Yeah. Oh, maybe here.
Got it?
Okay. The executive summary was the applicant is removing the 20th century brick face awning and the storefront doors. Since they do not honor the building's history, the applicant is bringing the building to match the 1940s photo to be compatible with the period of significance. The application provided is complete and based on the criteria that is outlined in Trinidad Municipal Code, section 14171.
Okay, thanks. Can we recommend Ms. Keeley?
Sure. Okay, so this is 153 and 155 East Main Street. I'm the owner of this. I'm also the architect. The status of it right now is it's got 2 permits on it. One permit has been completed and a certificate of occupancy has been granted, and that's for the tap room, so the well portion. That's the first floor in the basement. The second floor is a hotel, and that permit has already been issued and is under construction. Now, we didn't do the certificate of appropriateness for either of those because we weren't doing any exterior work, so we didn't have to. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pull a 3rd permit after we get all of our certificates handled, and we're gonna start on the facade. And so what needs to be done on the facade is we have a state historical fund grant, a matching grant, and we will not only we'll clean it up in its current state, but there's a curious little yellow brick facade that somebody put on in the mid 20th century. And if you look at it real close, it's actually covering up the facade that's under it. And the same is true of a lot of places along Main. So like if you look at 314 West Main, the green one that Carl Gabrielson just redid, that one had the same thing. It was like a kind of covering, and then under it was the original facade. And we're lucky enough to have a photo of it. So we have been able to zoom in and look at the details, look at the fenestration, look at the doors, the casement windows above the doors, all that stuff. And so when we prepared the architectural drawings, we had a really, really good basis to go off of since we have that photo. So if you look in your packet, that photo is the 1940s photo. It has the Coca-Cola on the side of the building next to it. And you'll see that
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a storefront that goes all the way up to about 15 feet. And right now, the storefront, the facade, with the yellow brick portion only goes up to about 10.
Pretty far.
So we're really excited. This was a Frank Bloom project. The building's from 1888, and he didn't really have a specific architect. He always kind of did things with a contractor or just kind of self-designed. But it's got a ton of character, a lot of like eclectic features. It's got lots of stonework on it. It's got seashells and decorative cornice and masonry up and down the side. So I think it's gonna be good, and I think it's a better reflection of what was actually there. Should be an improvement. And then the C of A, this is already a contributing building to the National Historic District. So the C of A is really just to, for zoning purposes, for architectural review. It's not really to just, to say, oh, is it historic or not? It's just for zoning and making sure that we're not putting anything on there that's out of place or out of character.
Anybody have any questions for Keely? Chris, any questions?
No, not really.
I don't know if you have the packet, but if not,
I got, yeah, I got everything. I printed it all off, and so but no, it all looks good to me.
It's pretty thorough, and I'm just asking if there's anybody else that wants to speak on this application.
I just have one question.
Yes, please.
So I see on your plan that you have like plans to repair the brick and clean it, like around that side. You're not gonna take off the like existing.
the ghost
old-
sign?
Yeah,
No, we won't be touching the ghost sign.
okay. That's all I care about.
Maybe eventually it'd be nice to touch up the ghost sign,
Yeah,
maybe a little bit. But we've got two, there's just really one major crack in
one
the
on the
back.
side and one on the back.
Yeah, those are the two that we wanna make sure that those are all buttoned up, cause we just wanna,
Yeah.
while we're doing it, while we have the machinery out, make sure we get that done. Nothing too structural though, and the ghost signs will stay. The lipstick and rouge, there's a group that went around maybe 10 years ago, and they helped paint some facades, so they started painting up the side, and then they realized they were about to paint over a ghost sign, so they stopped.
Huh,
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I've not heard that story.
Is that the one on commercial or?
The one, on Maple, the Maple Street side?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the building used to have all sorts of stuff in it, embalming studio in the basement, paint store, sign store, beauty salon, bar, grocery, music store, it's been all sorts of stuff over the years, so.
All right, thank you. Well, I think that does it for any other questions on the certificate of appropriateness for 155? Is it East Main?
Yep.
East Main. Hearing closed. Do we have a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness? Is there a second?
That's okay.
Okay, there's a second on the floor. Anybody have any other questions, discussion on the motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 155 East Main? Okay, can you call the vote, please?
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Carlos?
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Okay, it's approved.
Thank you. Next hearing open on a certificate of appropriateness application for 101 Pine Street. If we could have staff report on that, please.
Yes. Alright. The executive summary is for 101 Pine is the applicant is working to rehabilitate the exterior of the facade of the building located at 101 Pine Street. This commercial building was constructed around the year 1890. This building was influenced by Chicagoans who brought the Italian revival style. The applicant plans to remove a test area of the plaster to assert whether the plaster removal will damage the original brick. The plaster will remain if the removal causes damage. They will provide additional documentation if they learn they're able to remove the plaster without damage. The application provided is complete and based on the criteria that is outlined in the Trinidad Municipal Court Code, section 14-171.
Thanks. Ms. Keeley, do you have anything to add?
So just wanted to, there's 101 Pine Street's on here twice, one's for a landmark and one's for the certificate of appropriateness. Certificate of appropriateness is required, for architectural review under a certain zoning, so it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to do with the, landmarking as much, it has to do with the zoning, approval of the architecture, making sure it fits within that zoning. So we're not doing much, the owners are not doing much to this facade. Everything is essentially getting cleaned up. I've dealt with this kind of plaster before. It's like a mid-century plaster that they would apply on top of brick to kind of just clean it up a little bit. Because the sentiment was sometimes the brick would, in the mid-20th century, people would think of it as like, I don't know, they would think of it as like old-timey rundown. And so they would apply a full coat of plaster of the whole thing. So this likely has, I don't know photos of it, but it probably has like really decorative arts and crafts, brick and detailing underneath. I've tried to remove this plaster before, it's a pain, it's hard to do it, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But if the plaster stays, then it'll be like, of an era, it'll be of a craftsman era, it'll be of the
So you
era.
haven't determined yet about the plaster?
We're gonna have to do a test patch, because if we start taking it off and it's degrading the brick underneath, I think it's best just to leave that period and just let it be what it is. So hopefully we're successful and we can get it off. So we'll see. Other than that, there's no really other improvements to the facade other than just cleaning up what's there.
Any other questions from anybody in the room, online? Chris, any questions?
No, not for me.
Okay, hearing closed. And we need to have entertain a motion for a certificate to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 101 Pine Street. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
Is there a second?
A second.
Can you call the vote, please, Tara?
Alright, Elizabeth,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Carlos,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
alright, it's passed.
Great, thank you. Third hearing, open. And this is actually for a local landmark designation on 101 Pine Street. Do we have the staff report on that?
Yes, we do. 1 second. I have to unbury myself. Okay. For the landmark designation, the executive summary, the applicant has applied for local landmark designation of a historical property of 101 Pine Street, which has the historical name of Pine in Arizona. It is located within the historical district of Trinidad. The building has a period of significance of 1890 to 1940. The original use of this building was as a 6 retail storefronts on ground level with furnished rooms above, and it's planned to be used as a 6 retail storefronts on the ground level with furnished rooms above. The current address for this building is 101 to 111 Pine Street. The architect was Isaac Hamilton Rapp, and the application provided is complete based on the criteria that is outlined in Trinidad Municipal Code, section 14-171.
Thanks, Tara. Ms. Keeley?
Alright. So I love this block. This is one of those blocks that's like, that went into disrepair once they built the I-25 viaduct. So this is special. So I've always wanted to get this into a historic district, with a couple of these buildings, and I think it's still possible, but in the interim, if we can start to landmark some of them that are outside the district and on the other side of the highway, I think that would be incredible. So Isaac Rapp did this building. He moved here in 1887, and so this is about one of his first projects, and he partnered with this guy named Bolger. So it was Bolger and Rapp before he partnered with his brother. And then they dissolved in like 1895, so maybe 5 years after this had been built. So this was housing for all sorts of workers, miners, that sort of thing during Trinidad's boom. And it had 6 storefronts on the ground floor. And what I really love about this building and so many other buildings in Trinidad is it's like completely untouched other than the stucco. I mean, the interior is amazing, the millwork's there. It's sturdy, there's not a lot of structural failure. The roof is still in pretty good shape. They still have the old Murphy beds in there, which were added later, which we'll talk about with the neighboring building.
Even the mattresses?
I don't remember if it's the mattresses or if it was just the springs. And that's really interesting, and you never see that. Like in another city where you didn't have the boom and bust, this would have been renovated 6 times over already, and it hasn't been. It's just like completely untouched. So I get really excited about that. And the storefronts and the upstairs, so they're going to be using it for the exact same use as it was before. So not a lot of updates. What else is in here? Fun shops, Flint's Grocery, sewing shop, lots of just little shops that would have like serviced the neighborhood. This is one of the first buildings in the neighborhood. And the owners intend to put it back all little shops that service the college. So they already have a couple potential folks that want to go in there. And I can see them getting it cleaned up pretty fast. So this is just the first step.
Great, and on this one, before we get questions, this will be a recommendation to City Council for final approval, but any questions or comments on the landmarking of this building?
Is there any old videos left in the video store?
That's the one on the corner, right?
Yeah, Spotlight.
Yeah, Spotlight. When did they close? I'm looking at Tara.
I have no idea.
97, 98, somewhere in there.
98.
Spotlight Video?
Yeah, probably before 2000, I would say.
I know.
There's an historian in the room.
Tattoo there.
What's that?
Tattoo parlor, when the tattoo parlor closed.
I don't know about that one.
Any other comments? Chris, do you have any comments or questions before we close this hearing?
I just say, I really appreciate all the detailed historical and architectural information in the narratives. It really, I think it really qualifies. It's, I appreciate all the detailed information in that.
Right, yeah.
And I think I don't know if those tiles are tin or not, because the ones on the neighboring building are tin. But
It has these like green tiles all over it.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's got like a bungalow look to it. It's almost like they did like decorative brick style or kind of an arts and crafts Chicago type style, and then like added the bungalow eclectic style to it, which I really appreciate because
they got a bunch of outside photos of it.
Yeah, and then during that time, especially the early 1900s, people started to get more into like style and architecture because there were so many magazines, like Women's Wear Daily started then, and there was catalogs and things like that, so people could actually like see it in drawings and in newspaper, and they oh, I like that, I like that detail, and that's why it got so eclectic during that time.
And so it's just really helpful to hear the other commentary too. I think it educates us. I mean, you have a lot of knowledge to share with us, so thank you. And I think, once this moves along to City Council, that they can also benefit from that background, and I think it's an important part of the hearing process, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Anything else? Hearing closed on local landmark designation for 101 Pine Street. do we have a motion to recommend to city council that this property be landmarked? Is there a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to recommend city council.
Do we have a second?
That's it. I'll second.
Okay, Tara, can you call for a vote, please?
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Carlos,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
All right, it's passed.
Motion approved, all right. Okay, let's open our last hearing for this evening, and this is also for a local landmark designation. This time it's for 613 Arizona Avenue. And if we could start with a summary of the staff report, please.
Okay. So this one is, the applicant has applied for the historical property of 603 Arizona, which is 613 Arizona, which was named the Malvina Apartments to be designated as a local landmark. It is located within the historical district of Trinidad. The building's original architect was Isaac Hamilton Rapp and Arthur C. Henderson in 1913. The original use of this building was as a multi-family townhouse and is planned to be used as a multi-family townhouse. The current address for this building is 609, 613, and 615 Arizona. The property was granted a certificate of appropriateness on September 20th of 2023 for the restoration of the facade of the building. The applicant, for future reference, wants this property to be known as 613 Arizona. The application provided is complete based on the criteria that is outlined in the Trinidad Municipal Code, section 14-171.
Thank you, Ms. Keeley.
So the adjacent building, 101 Pine, that was built in 1890, this wasn't built till 1913. And so, I don't have a lot of specific history on this one, I didn't really on the other one either, but I can tell you what was going on in 1913. It was the Coalfield War, and Mother Jones was making speeches all around town. So that was, I thought was really interesting. This building also is a little bit more, it's just a little bit more modern because I think it's a Chicago 2 flat, basically, based on the layout and the architecture. And that was the style that was proliferating all around Chicago in the 1910s. And it was a testament to people, a lot of people just moving to the United States and moving into smaller flats and things like that. And the American dream wasn't necessarily like, oh, let's get a single family house, you know, it wasn't the time of the car or anything like that. So if you moved to town, you moved into a smaller apartment, you moved into a flat, so that's what they built. And it wasn't just coal miners, but it was families too. And so what was so neat, and which still exists in these flats, is the Murphy beds. That was the addition, they were designed with Murphy beds in mind. So they have built-in furnishings, they have a lot of craftsman style details and mantles on the inside. And there was a style of architecture that was also proliferating at this time. It wasn't just about like punctuating this facade with windows that looked pretty. It was about the relationship between indoor and outdoor. So in these apartments, in like a typical Chicago flat, you've got a second floor unit that has a terrace, and then it has a balcony in the back, and it's got skylights, and it's got windows that are in groupings of 3 and patio doors. And so it was really it started to really expand architectural design in terms of like interior space and what was comfortable. And they would design that down to the furnishings and the mantles and the Murphy beds. So the Murphy beds were the original Murphy company they got their patent in 1908. In 1911 they established their company, and this was built in 1913, so right away the technology was there. So it's really exciting, and again, you would never find Murphy beds like that old anywhere. And, you know, it would have been renovated so many times over. So it's really exciting to find them. Owners are going to keep them. They're keeping all of the historical elements. There's a couple things we need to do to bring it up to code. On the second floor terraces, the parapet's a little low. So what we'll probably do is just a couple horizontal bars, which will be like black, and they'll kind of disappear. But it'll provide that safety, and so you can still utilize them and have them decode. Another thing that they're probably going to add is an ADA ramp. Code's gonna require 2 accessible units. And this is, because of the floodplain, this is up about 42 inches. So we're gonna need to do a ramp, but it'll be in the back of the building. So that's good, it won't be taking over the front or anything like that. There's some balconies and exit stairs in the back that need to be rebuilt. So those will be new, but again, those are at the back of the building and nothing too wild there. I think I submitted the elevations on that, just very typical utilitarian stairs and balconies back there. And that pretty much is it. I think these are tin tiles on the bungalow style, like ribbon around the side of it. And I think that those were a continuation of 101 Pine. So I think 101 Pine had them, and for architectural continuity, they kind of continued on this building as well.
Because they're both wrap.
They're both Rapp, and this one is Rapp and Hendrickson, so it's Rapp and his brother, and then a draftsperson named Hendrickson, who also was an owner of the property. So they had a ton of work, and so I'm sure he was just kind of part of the team. What else? I love the stoops. It used to be, when 101 Pine was built in 1890, they used this site for a bunch of stuff before they built this building. It was an ice rink, it was a stock and feed store, and so it wasn't until 1913 that they actually got the apartments there. Yeah.
So a question, so you talked about putting, like the bars on the balcony to make it safer. How, and this is just sort of a curious, like, how do architects or whomever decides on what you're gonna use? Is that sort of a standard approach, or where does that come from?
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to you're trying to either complement it or trying to make it so it's not standing out. If you put balconies up there that are, like neon light and all of that, it's not really complementing the character so much. So really just something that I think would be appropriate would just be, just to give it a little bit more height to get to that guardrail height, and something that's maybe black and as thin as possible so it just kind of disappears. Sometimes what we'll do, if there's really a concern, is we'll put the balcony back at an angle, and that way if you're looking up from the street, you don't really see it. So that's another option of something that we could do too.
Do you know how much distance you're talking between that and what's?
I don't have an exact calculation, but see, because there's a roof there, and then we'll probably have to do like a pedestal paver, so that's going to give us another 3 inches. And what we really need to come above that deck, whatever that deck is. So I'm thinking like maybe three bars, something like that, of horizontal. That's something thin.
And how does that work with our, like the current code? I mean, I guess it can't anticipate every, eventuality, especially with historic properties. Do they evaluate that, or is it just something that you all determine as kind of the best practice or standard practice for this kind of a structure?
For like an adaptive reuse project, this would probably be just a very standard practice.
Okay.
Yeah. It comes up a lot on windows that are the big double hungs, where you don't really have a balcony, but you don't want people to fall through, or you don't want them to open it. So you'll put like just a guardrail right in front, so that they can't,
So they'll be familiar somewhat, you think, or do we even have to get there for them to approve it for planning and zoning?
I think, for planning and zoning, I don't really think they're gonna dictate, the architectural style of it. I think they're gonna probably rely on all of that. Yeah, and it's really just a safety code thing. So, yeah, just trying to minimize it, I think, and be compatible.
I have a
Kristen, do you
question.
have a question?
Last month we reviewed the application for the certificate of appropriateness for this building, and I asked about the balcony terraces, and he told us, I can't remember his name, but he told us that they wouldn't be using the balconies, that those doors would be shut and that they were too low and that they weren't going to make any sort of changes. So I don't know, has there been a change since then and now, or?
Yeah, I think
I guess.
the owners would like to try to use them just because, and I mean, they're there, and I think it's a complete amenity to house design. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to.
I guess, I'm sorry, I guess the question is just the code about whatever changes that would be put in, would it, you know, look correct, I guess. But what you're talking about with the black bars, I think that makes sense. But I guess I was just curious because we asked specifically about this last time, and originally we were told they weren't going to be used. But I think it's good that they will be used.
Yeah, I talked to the owner after that because I saw that too. And I was like, well, you know, I don't think people are going to appreciate that when they walk, then when they like, go to rent this apartment and they walk up there and there's this beautiful terrace and it's like, oh no, you know, because we do have, you know, mechanisms for doing it in an appropriate way. And so I think we should employ those instead of not allowing people to go out there. 'Cause they're gonna get
I like to see flowers and out there and stuff.
Yeah, like flower baskets and I mean, it's a ton of space. It's like a full furnish the whole thing up there.
Good question though, thank you. Good memory, I forgot about that. Anybody else, any other questions, thoughts, comments? Hearing none, close the hearing. And ask for a motion to approve the landmark application for, the Malverna Apartments for 613 Arizona. Can we call it Malverna?
Malvernia.
Malvernia.
There was also a Malvernia market around the corner.
At any rate, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? Ms. Tara, can you call the vote, please?
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Carlos.
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
All right, motion's passed.
Thank you. That does it for our public hearings this evening. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, so moving on to item 5, for discussion. 5A is our video presentation from our Echoes 2023 presentation. And this is just to kind of reorient us again. So there's been some back and forth, no decisions, but about, first of all, we wanted to have this product, this final version of these videos from this wonderful event that we did. But then it came up, would it be appropriate to use this to contribute to the Crossroads exhibit that the Smithsonian is doing here in town in December through January? So I'm just throwing that out in terms of bearing that in mind. I think we probably should vote on it. And if we're ready to vote on it tonight, we can kind of figure that out after we hear from Jeff. But if you could keep that in your mind, and I think he's gonna explain that a little further, so maybe it'll make sense if you still have questions. So, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jeff Montoya. I'm with Picket Wire Media. And to touch on the Smithsonian exhibit, I spoke with Ken last week. And I think, you know, there's multiple formats of content, not multiple formats, but multiple types of content that we're going to have. And I think some of the shorts might work really well for that exhibit based on how he explained it to me. He said that they were going to set up few rooms in the space to create with projectors and films playing in there and with rotating films that will be played in there. So something in the short form would work really great for that. To talk a little bit about what we captured in June at the Echoes event, we shot both days. We captured 5 hours and 15 minutes of raw footage, which came out to 412 gigabytes. There was 2 hours and 46 minutes of usable footage, which I'll send a reel of all of that over to you. You're welcome to use that as you'd like in the future for anything. The full film itself came out to 57 minutes with credits, which I didn't anticipate it to be such a long film, but there was just so much good stuff that we captured over that weekend. I didn't want to leave any of it on the cutting room floor, as they say. So there's a 57 minutes full film. The way we shot the event, I'm a one-man camera crew, so it was impossible to go in and capture each of the panels in their entirety. So what we did was I came early that day and I set up an interview set in the space to create, and we asked most of the presenters and speakers to come in and talk to me for a few minutes before the event started. They came in, I asked them some questions about who they were, where they're from, what they were presenting about, and then I asked them some general questions about historic preservation that I could use to tie into different parts of the film. The nice thing about that is I spoke with all those folks, and there was so much content in there that I couldn't use that wouldn't fit into the main film. If we would have used all that, it would have been 2 hours long. I think that would have been a little much. So what I thought is that we could take some of those conversations, interviews that we had with those panelists and presenters and make shorts out of those. And we, after going through all of the footage and looking at transcripts of all the footage, there's 11 that we could use. A conversation, and I would suggest calling them echoes of history, a conversation with whoever the presenter is. We spoke with Mayor Rico, Gregory Friesen from the Fox Theater Project, Calvin D. Smith, the director of the library and scholar in residence at Trinidad State College, Mother Jones, who was portrayed by Carla Morton, I believe was her name, A.R. Mitchell. He was portrayed by, I forget the gentleman's name, Alan Berkelback. Both Alan and Carla were poet laureates for the state of Texas over the last couple decades. They dressed up in character as Mother Jones and A.R. Mitchell for the fashion show portion of the event. I also spoke with David Harris, the director of the Cokedale Mining Museum. Donna Pachorik, her mother was a local artist that they had some of her paintings on display that day. I spoke with Sandy Dolak of the Wahatoya Heritage Foundation, Paul Glenn from PSTM Architecture, who's working on various projects around town. I also think so all of those folks would make great shorts that we could use. I also think the entire character show, fashion show from the end would work as an individual piece. And then I also think that the conversation that we had the next month here in City Hall with the members of the commission would make a really good short in itself. Basically, we talked about the inspiration of the event, how it was organized, and highlights for individual members of the commission. So I think that would be a great piece of content as well. So, like I said, a full film, 57 minutes with 11 shorts, ranging from 2 minutes up to 15 minutes. Some of the shorts are a little longer. Now, what I brought today to show you, and I also I have 4 reels to show you today. The first cut of the first film, as well as 3 of the shorts. The shorts that I brought are of Mayor Rico, Mother Jones, and Gregory Friesen from the Fox Theater. I uploaded these all to Vimeo and I sent the links to Elizabeth, so you're welcome to forward that on to everybody, and you can watch them in full later on from your homes, because I don't think we've got the time to watch them all today. But I'd be happy to show you bits and pieces of some of the reels so that you can get a feel for what we've got. As far as where we're at with the full film, this is the first cut, so if there's any parts of it that you would like to be taken out, we could do that. As far as adding things in, I don't know how much more we can add in there based on what we've got footage-wise, but we could definitely cut some things if you would like them removed. So as far as what's left to complete, just some post-production things, such as final cuts that need to be made. I needed to go in and do some color grading and do some sound adjustments and some captions. And you'll see in in the footage that the panels that were in the main area with the microphone sound great. The back rooms, there's no microphones in there, very big open concrete rooms, they're a little boomy. So for those panels that are a little hard to hear, I'm gonna drop captions in there so that people can hear what everybody's saying. And then the credits, I gotta add a credit reel in there, and then I need to also finish the 8 remaining shorts, aside from the 3 that I've already done. As far as the credits go, if there's anybody else that you'd like included in there, I'd be happy to add them in there. I think you probably want sponsors in there. Do you want?
Yeah, for sure. I think, do you still have the program from that day?
I don't have a copy of the
Okay, I
program.
need to give that to you, because I think that has all the sponsors on it,
Okay.
that will help us to remember.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to make sure, as far as what would be included in the credits, because I want to make sure that everybody's covered here and everybody's recognized for what they did. So we'll, list off all the members of the commission, including Ms. Delicio, who was the planner of the event. New Legends magazine, they provided some photographs, portraits of the characters that we used in the film, so we'll credit them. All of the presenters that spoke on camera, the Denver Public Library Western photo collection. There's some photographs in the film of Cokedale that we're using from the Denver Public Library. There's some one drone shot that's in the film that I licensed to Envato, but Carlos, if you'd like to send one over to me, I'll swap yours out. I'd love to send one of yours. Any sponsors that we've got, we'll include those in the credits too. I also wanted to, give you a recommendation of how to publish this when the time comes to get this out there. I would recommend with this to, I noticed the city of Trinidad does not have an online YouTube channel. I would highly recommend that the city of Trinidad start their own YouTube channel that they can publish content like this. Now, I know a lot of the meetings, such as this one, Tom broadcasts on his channel, but this content's different than that. Tom's broadcasting, public meetings and things like that. This is more content that's going out to visitors, tourists, and things like that. I would suggest the city start their own channel, and with 12 pieces of content, if you release one video every 2 weeks, starting in January, this will give you content up until next year when the next event happens, which will help drive some interest in the next event next year. And the wintertime, it's cold and quiet around here. It'll give people some things to look at with some nice greenery and trees and summertime footage. So. Before I start throwing some clips at you, does anybody have any questions for me?
A couple of quick thoughts, on the use of the video ongoing. I think that's an awesome suggestion about the YouTube channel and releasing every 2 weeks. And I wonder if, we can definitely ask the tourism board to view this meeting so that they have that information. They don't necessarily need to, meet with you directly, but if there's a way to encourage that communication directly between historic preservation, picket wire, and tourism, I think that would be a really good idea. I'm not sure how that looks. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I agree. I agree, and I also think that it's very important that historic preservation, tourism, all of the city content fall under one umbrella. I've seen some cities or groups have separate channels for different portions of but YouTube's all about algorithms, right? And the more eyes you get on an individual channel, the more people it'll get pushed out to see it. So one channel, all Trinidad stuff, I think would be the best way to go about that.
No, I appreciate that recommendation. Yes.
Can you get that to Tara so she can send it to all of us? Because the Open Meetings Act won't let you send it to all of us.
What's your email address? I can.
Tara.booth@trinidad.co.gov.
Absolutely. I'll send that forward to you this evening.
It's just a matter of people not commenting, so we can definitely have Tara shoot that out to everybody, and then we just, under a strict interpretation of the open meetings law. Don't comment on it, just view it, and we'll go from there, so.
And kind of on that note too, the videos are posted on Vimeo right now on my Picket Wire Media account. They will be unlisted. I made them public so that we could pull them up on the screen here today, but we'll go back to being unlisted on there. So you have to have the link to be able to see it. So it's not going to be searchable by anyone until we get the final cut.
Yeah, we'll make sure we're in compliance, so thank you for your question.
And the one thing, we need to, when it comes time to publish the full version of it, there are a few things that I need to do. I license some stock music to be used in this, and then once we decide what channel it's going to go on, I need to submit that information to the stock music provider that I use so that they don't ding you for copyright.
Yes, yeah, we'll need some assistance from you guys, Tara. And so do you have a quick summary, or so when you spoke with Ken Chapin about using this for Crossroads, was there some discussion about, so I hear what you're saying, you do the shorts and these individual viewing kind of formats, and then maybe a screening for the long version, or can you clarify that a little bit?
Well, he just described to me what the audiovisual portion of it was going to be, and he had said that there was going to be those rooms. We didn't really talk about screening the entire film, but I do think it would be great to have a premiere screening of the film if you like it. If that's something you'd like to do, that would be a great thing to do. You could definitely run the full film at the Smithsonian event, but it's an hour long, so people will probably be coming in and out.
Well, I think Lauren, you mentioned or suggested, the possibility of doing it at Main Street Live, right?
Yeah.
Doing it in an actual theater,
Yeah.
in a screening setting, so hopefully we're open to doing that. We'll just have to check it. So I think there's they're needing to get stuff set up fairly soon for that to happen, so. For Crossroads, because
Gotcha.
it starts December 9th, I know. Anyway, so yeah, okay, well, any other questions before we look at some of the short material?
And it's just to touch one more time on a screening event. I know the folks at Tri-Peak Theaters very well. I've done
I
some
was
work.
thinking that might be a nice place too, because that would be a much better.
Where?
Try
It's at the
They,
theater.
their projectors are
Yeah.
4K.
They're gonna be, it's gonna be much more stunning and impressive in a real theater than it would be at the screen that they have at Main Street Live. Unfortunately,
Good point.
but I think that's a really good idea, and I think them being part of the community as they are, have this coincide with that, and have a big opening out there, would be kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
A grand opening.
Red carpet.
We have to think about how to, do we want to participate or have question and answer afterwards, or,
Oh, I
do
think
something
that would probably be a really good idea. is
Interactive.
To find some people afterwards to answer questions. and
folks
stuff.
who are in the film,
Yeah,
maybe
possible.
one or two of us,
Yeah.
something like that.
Just have a little panel down the.
So that would
theater
be-
afterwards.
I think it's December 9th through January 14th, something like that, so
It's 5 weeks.
it's 5 weeks, so just kind of bear that in mind. So when we're talking about having winter events in Trinidad, that would certainly be one of them, that would be, yeah.
Absolutely. And as far as what will it take to finish the full film, I got maybe 12 hours left to go in and finish the color grading, sound adjustments, and captioning, credits, and things like
Because I
that.
think to get this set up, and I think Ken will take it and pretty much do it, the promotion or set it up, but he'll need some time, so we just need to figure that out.
And whenever you're comfortable with it, I can send him this first cut to look at.
Did you just send it directly to Tara? That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great,
Is
great.
that okay, Tara?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, is you talking to the theater something that you would do to do this? or
I'd be happy to do that,
Is
yeah.
it all somehow?
Well, he can work with, or with you and
Yeah.
Ken together, or
Yeah.
however, because I know he's a project manager for the Crossroads
Okay.
stuff, so he
Very
would want to be.
He has to schedule it
Yeah.
for the 5 weeks, so we set it up. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's very exciting to have a permit like that,
good idea.
Well, you wanna see some footage?
Please.
All right, let's
We
do it.
wanna go to the movies.
Chris, I hope you can see it from where you're at, but if not, I'll send you all the links. I'm gonna try to screen share here.
Okay. Yeah, if I can, I'll watch them later.
Okay, can you see the go-to meeting screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yeah, I see it.
that's a nice screen capture on Mayor Rico right there.
that was like the screensaver.
Okay, here we go. So this is the first, the full film, and I'll just jump around a little bit.
Sure.
Good morning and welcome to Trinidad.
In June of 2023, the City of Trinidad's Historic Preservation Commission held a special event at the Commons and Space to Create called Echoes of History, Saving Trinidad's Past. The two-day event was focused on hosting several panels and events to showcase various historic preservation projects in Trinidad and southern Colorado. We had the opportunity to sit in on some of these panels and speak with presenters and organizers.
I'm Mayor Phil Rico, City of Trinidad, lifelong resident. And like I said, I grew up actually in western Colorado, which is about 20 miles west of Trinidad. I was born and raised in a home that my father built back in 1937, 38. I love our community and what this community can be in the future, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Hi, my name is Chris Hall. I'm the planning administrator for the City of Trinidad. And I also assist with Historic Preservation Commission's annual meetings and monthly meetings.
I'm Elizabeth Kelly. I'm the current chair of the Historic Preservation Commission here at the City of Trinidad.
Hi, my name is Shirley. My last name is also Shirley, and I'm the commissioner with the Historic Preservation Commission.
Hi, Derek Thomas. I'm a commissioner of the Historic Preservation Commission of Trinidad, Colorado.
The City of Trinidad has 80 some odd buildings that are still intact. All the facades are still intact the way they were originally built, and that's what we're trying to preserve. And then besides that, the history that Trinidad has as a whole. I mean, I keep telling people this. The more you dig, the more you find about the history of Trinidad. So we have an amazing, not only history, but culture that goes back to the mid-1800s. So it's important that we preserve what we have today.
This is our second annual event, and we always start planning as soon as the event concludes.
The inspiration for the Echoes event was, I think, just wanting to do more outreach to bring historic preservation alive and into the community. So that was really the inspiration, but also we are considered a CLG or Certified Local Government entity, and there are certain requirements that History Colorado, who issues that certification, has for doing outreach and that, or for maintaining your status as a CLG. And one of those things is doing outreach. So that was our inspiration, but really just bringing it out of City Hall and to the people, if you will.
We really wanted to focus on culture, and that's why we did the historic baseball game as well.
We also talked though about really wanting to make sure we were reaching out to youth, the younger folks, so sometimes historic preservation sounds sort of, dusty and, like only old people like historic preservation. And there's a lot of younger people who are interested, I think especially the baseball piece, there were so many people that I spoke to along the way that were like, oh, I didn't know those fall camps had all those teams and that it was so competitive, and it was a big part, as Derek, brought up, of this area's history. So, yeah, getting other people who are not normally involved in historic preservation interested for the future. And I think the hope was, at least an underlying theme, I'm not sure, how many people really felt this, but we really wanted to bring maybe sort of newer residents to Trinidad, together with people who've been here for a while. You know, there's always a little bit of that, you know, newcomer versus old timer tension, a little bit anyway. And so I think we wanted to just make sure that everybody, you know, could learn together, and maybe that some of those bridges could be, you know, walked across and people could talk to each other a little bit more in the context of history.
We have a lot of history in Trinidad, and we just wanted to bring that to the public's attention.
Much larger.
Sessions to tune into, and I look forward to that.
You know, to summarize what we actually did, what we intended to do was
why it's significant and
1,500 miners there, and 23 separate languages were spoken in that town. Southern Colorado never went union,
He's from
and
the
the
Coattail
mines
Mining
did not
Museum.
go out on the strike at Ludlow. It's important to keep this available to the public because it is part of Coattail's history. It's part of Los Animas County's history. And what is amazing is the majority of the children going to school here, this is the history of their grandfathers and great-grandfathers. And once it's gone forever. So we really do need to preserve it. The museum itself is in the original company store, and it's 120 years old and just a little haunted. Please feel free to contact me, 719-859-3452.
I almost cut this.
I'm not here 24/7.
But it's so
Please
small
contact
town.
me and set up a time and appointment, and we'll have fun. It's free. Work on donations. Thank you very
He
much.
just wants to share it with everybody.
Hello, I'm Gregory Friesen, Principal Architect with CSNA Architects on the Fox West Theater. And we'll want to tell a couple of stories about it. When it was built, why it's significant in the history of American theater, and why it is very important in the history of life safety in American theater.
My name's Shannon Palmer. I'm the archivist for the Fox West Theater. I work with urban neighborhoods, and specifically Christopher Smith and under Dana Crawford. I've been talking today about preserving artifacts and documents from the Fox West Theater and cataloging them, and a little bit about the exhibit we have of Fox West Theater artifacts and documents at the A.R. Mitchell Museum.
The Fox West Theater was designed by two of the four Rapp brothers. And in the history of American theater, the Rapp brothers are renowned. Most people think about the Chicago Rapps. However, through research, we've been able to determine that the first Rapp Theater was this one here in Trinidad, the Fox West Theater. So it's particularly significant. I can speak for everyone on the project team that we're very proud to be working on it.
Well, the one question you have is, we found any unexpected treasures?
This will be where come in.
Well, everybody knew the phone booth was there, for example. I was surprised to find out it's one of the first phone booths in Colorado, if not in the whole American West. It's dated 1912. These were used for the stage productions, for a lot of different effects, along with this light I've been told. So if they wanted a sunrise effect, for example, they could shine the light along against the wall or use red for sunset.
Equate to love and honoring the history and the legacy of those that came before. So that's kind of what they're interested in talking about today, is how we fold this up to the north in our little tiny county that has no money and no creative district and none of those things. And we were able to do this, so that's what we're here to talk about today.
Hi, my name is Paul Glenn. I'm with PSTM Architecture. We're an architecture firm here in Colorado. We have an office in Chicago, one in Augusta, one in Trinidad, recently to Trinidad.
I think he's talking about
Preservation
the buildings you were just talking about.
First, and architect second. Truly grateful to be able to work in Trinidad on incredible historic buildings they have here.
Yes, of Trinidad, but I consider Trinidad my home. Yet.
Let's go back to the character show, yeah.
Gotta get Mother Jones.
She has her own short.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's one of the shorts I've got today.
She demands it.
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Play. There's Steve. Okay. Pause.
Mom at the Frontier West out here. Bob Silva as Lewis Krieger. I'm Bob Silva, great-grandson of my great-grandfather, Lewis M. Krieger. Lewis M. Krieger was a sheriff and a marshal of Trinidad and Los Alamos County for over 40 years. He became known for his quick and accurate gun. That is, his .45 Peacemaker. Many men challenged this gun, only to go to visit a pine box near here. And part of that is true, because my great-grandfather came in to Trinidad in 1866, and his first job was as a carpenter. He went on to make pine boxes, and then went into law enforcement in 1870. And it's said that he went on to build his own pine boxes that he made. Amazing. That was part of the story. You know, how can you go any better than that?
Oh, top of the morning to you. Oh, I see a lot of people out there that are descendants of people I know. My name is Mother Jones, and I love Trinidad, Colorado. And I spent my life fighting for the coal miners' rights. It was a hard world, and the coal miners were being treated so horribly. So I came down here. They called me Mother Jones, we need your help, down to Ludlow. They went on strike, and all they were wanting, they were just wanting two things. One, they were wanting an 8-hour workday. They were working 16 hours down in that hole, down in that hard hole from morning till night. They never saw the sun. Well, that's all they wanted, that, and to be paid money, not script, money. That way they didn't have to be dependent upon the general store for everything. So we fought for their rights. They went on strike, but it was horrible. They put me in prison down at Mount San Rafael Hospital, in the basement, in prison. And they thought that could stop, but it didn't. After they had me in prison, they whisked me out of state, and the Ludlow massacre happened. It was a horrible tragedy. But then, Oily John, as I called John Rockefeller, he finally would take a meeting with me, and he said, this has to stop. And it did. So finally we got some rights, and that's important to Trinidad, because not only was it the rights for 8-hour workers in the coal mines, then it trickled down to workers everywhere, that they deserve to be paid for their work. So Trinidad today is, of course, much different than it was back in 1914, when I was 76 years old and coming down and helping those coal miners. And, you know, my motto was, what we need to do is pray for the dead, but fight like hell for the living. That's what I told every place. The Senate got angry and they said, you are the grandmother of all agitators. And I said, well, I hope I live long enough to be the great-grandmother of all agitators. Hi, my name is Carla K. Morton, and I have the great honor of being named as Poet Laureate for the state of Texas in 2010. And
So that her whole reel is one of the shorts. Just to push, I won't show you any of the shorts. You've got an idea of what those are going to be like. I want to show you the baseball game though. That footage is really great.
Yeah.
Haskell.
was exposed to cholera in Missouri. And actually, I got sick. At some point, I was pronounced dead, placed in the coffin, and packed in ice. Thank God someone saw the ice move.
Welcome out, ladies and gentlemen, to a beautiful Sunday here at Central Park in Trinidad, America. Today is a special game here at Central Park. We're playing the Heritage Gold Camp game. It's all the Trinidad and Los Angeles County first responders and your hometown Trinidad Triggers. Yeah! We have the first responders in black, the Triggers in gray today for our Gold Camp Heritage game. If everyone would please rise and remove their caps for the national anthem, sung by Miss Krista Hornicks. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare of ours bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Miss Krista Frank, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's a baseball game. Triggers one.
I had to think about it for a second. I was like, I was there.
And then one last thing I want to show you is the end. The triggers kid. Yeah. So the very end, I went back and I used, when I interviewed all the panelists, I asked them why are events like this important to small towns like Trinidad, and then I put all of the responses back to back. Here's the last couple.
Many don't even know that there's been a movement to preserve these buildings to enhance the Corazon district. And so an event like today is incredibly important. It raises the awareness to these people who just didn't know that any of this stuff was going on. I had a number of people come up to me today. They had no idea the buildings were being renovated. So it's exciting, and like I said, the most important thing is it's a sense of place. This is to have been born here, to live here, is really important for people like myself to come here and get their feedback, get their knowledge, the historical, the feel for the community, and help them create the space and a place for them, a sense of place. Over the years has sometimes been neglected, sometimes not. I think that's important.
What's exciting about an event like this is it rallies the community behind historic resources. And for some, it teaches them how to see them, how to look at historic buildings and see them and understand them, putting them in context of how important they are to us as people, as a culture, and as a nation.
The end.
How many of those interviews that you did at the end with them asking why it was important, how many people did you interview for that?
A good amount. Almost everybody that I spoke with.
Is
That's
there a
really
reel
good
is there a reel of those answers?
There can be.
I think that might be a really
Can
good
be.
idea.
Uh-oh.
Keely's response was
play.
great. So yeah, here's how that section starts. So
Yeah, that might be
Yeah.
really true.
Yeah.
I think the most important part is to continue with the getting the word out about Trinidad
So let's
and
see,
its
we
rich
got
history.
Mayor
And the
Rico.
new and the revitalization.
I know we get Mayor Rico, Calvin from the college, Al Melton.
Okay.
But there's plenty. Like it's.
Yeah.
I think that entire sequence itself is 7 minutes long.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically it. I won't show you any of the individual clips. They're 4 or 5 minutes long, but you've got the gist of what they're going to look like on there, and it's basically the whole conversation. So I didn't have to cut anything out. I let Mother Jones give her whole spiel. It's great. It's great. Actually, and Gregory Frieson's from the Fox. He goes into the safety. The Fox Theater is a very safe theater because of the theater fire in Chicago that happened. The Bratt brothers went out there and they saw the carnage and the destruction, and they came back and they didn't want their theater here to be like that, so they, took all these precautions. It's great. It's lots of great information.
There's
there.
just so much content. I don't even know where to begin. Because I just think yes, it needs to get out. We need to use it. We need to. I definitely support trying to figure out how to insert it into Crossroads, and then beyond that, do a film or a screening at Tri-Peak, and the whole thing. Is there any, since we've got people here, namely Ms. Keeley, do you have any thoughts or input on this?
I think that the more little shorts you could do, just get them out to Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, just little snippets, make people want more maybe.
Yeah.
I love the YouTube comment. I actually texted Anissa after you said that and was like, anyway, we could just get a YouTube channel started.
Yeah.
So you're using more of the shorts kind of in more ways, is that?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is when you put out a 5-minute short interview with Mother Jones, then you can take that and cut that up into 5 little 20-second clips that you can throw on Instagram or TikTok. Individual statements and things like that. So there's a lot of content that can come out of.
Like the young kids probably don't know who Mother Jones is, and she's fun.
Yeah.
That's a fun one to learn about.
I think if we did the shorts in the Commons for Smithsonian, but then do the big red, that would be an awesome thing to show for the Smithsonian.
What you could do is the Smithsonian exhibit runs December through January. So at the end of each of the shorts that play in the rooms there, we could say full film premiere February 1st. Boom. Scan this QR code for a ticket. And, that could drive people to come to that big event too. But, however you'd like to do it.
I think part of it is a matter of, people power, in other words, just sort of coordinating it. And so I don't know how much we can definitely ask Ken Chapin to do like the heavy lifting stuff for Crossroads. But beyond that, I think, it's a city staff kind of issue too. We can help, but I don't know how that looks.
I'd ask Audra. I'll ask her tomorrow and see what she says.
We just need to have more discussion about it, I think. But I think that the first question about using it in Crossroads, doing some shorts, and then having the full screening, I would say there's a consensus on that. So we know that for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna. So that'll give us 12 shorts. If we add the ending as a short.
Nice job. Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
You did a lot.
I love the interviews.
You did great. Like you say something about the importance of historic preservation for rural communities and how there's the resources out there. Like you say something that nobody else says.
Oh, good.
Thing, so it's awesome.
Do you have time to?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm already getting embarrassed. Turning red.
It's so fun to see yourself.
I know.
I love it.
We'll let Mayor Rico lead into yours.
Revitalization to continue. At one time, Trinidad was about 14,000 people. Population now is around 82 to 8,500 people. So events like this are really important to get the word out to the rest of not only the surrounding areas, but the state of Colorado and the country. Let them know that Trinidad is here. Trinidad, if you're a history buff, this is someplace that you need to come and visit. Stay a few days, learn about Trinidad, learn about the people, learn about the legends of Trinidad.
An event like this is important for rural communities in Colorado. The state of Colorado has identified many of its rural communities as sort of the last batch of areas that really need historic preservation support. So it's important for community outreach to understand the importance of historic preservation, how that benefits the community, how we maintain our buildings from a materials and scientific perspective, and then what type of opportunities are available to take advantage of to aid in the rehabilitation costs of those buildings.
The historic preservation group and of course the societies that are involved is extremely important for.
Yeah, so many uses for this. My mind is, Yeah.
And you've seen, 15 minutes of it. It's an hour long. There's some great stuff in there.
Okay.
So I'm excited for you all to be able to look at it, and any feedback is appreciated, and always open to ideas. So, anybody have any other questions for me about it?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really like the content.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. This is the longest single film I've ever made, so there was some learning curve in there. But I feel good about the way it came out, and lessons learned to make an even better one next year. So thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, guys, to wrap up, we're at least heading towards the end here. We're on item 5, discussion of the retreat. You have a draft agenda in your packet. And this is a misnumbered, very drafty draft of some topics to put out for this meeting. We're looking at having this on November 8th. Might be 9 to 3, maybe we'll meet that one, maybe it's just 9 to 1, so we're gonna reserve 8. And I guess the only questions for you tonight, we don't have to talk through this very much, it's just, is there anything to add? I'm hoping that city manager,
Steve said he'll be there.
Oh, he can come, oh good, because he can give us a little mini refresher on open meetings law and some of the stuff that I think, especially for new members and me, would be helpful to hear again, so that would be
He
awesome.
said he'll be there.
Okay. We do have on this draft agenda, this budget request. I think it's okay to ask a quick question about it at this meeting, and that is, when are the budget requests due?
I'm not sure. I think they've already happened because they were having meetings up here about it.
Where the Arts Commission is meeting tomorrow, and it's the last time, and we'll be voting on our budget to present then.
So I'll talk to Audra tomorrow.
Because we go ahead.
No, I'll ask her and see if we need to get it done quickly.
And if, and I guess maybe the discussion between us right now is if we want to have some kind of budget,
Yes.
right?
Well, yeah.
So that, and I know the money.
Budget for the event.
Sorry?
We need to have a budget for the event.
Right, for sure, but we have to talk about that too, because that was a big event, and I just think we need to talk about it, that's gonna look, we do need to have a budget, so I think we all would request, if there's a way to just say, we know that the cannabis money was reduced considerably, that there's not, whatever it looks like, but please, yes, we do need some.
I'll talk to her first thing in the morning.
Okay.
It's just as, anybody want, I know she said we could do snacks and stuff, what would you like for the retreat, so I can put that down? Do coffee?
Coffee.
Just coffee?
Coffee.
So we could just maybe go 9 to 1 even. We probably don't need all this all the time, but we'll see.
I put down 9 to 3 just to be safe.
Yeah.
And we got the last room because they've already booked up.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I was lucky I put it where I did. So no, that is taken care of.
Thank you. And when I just threw these out, you know, for instance, HPC public information to be published on the website. Carlos, and only I just put that as a question mark.
I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I would ask as well if my name was next to something.
Yeah.
And the idea here was just to lead the discussion, not necessarily that you have something prepared, but to say, how do we want to do this? So that would kind of be your item.
So it would just be like, as far as like what historic stuff we have.
Mm-hmm. Just what's there, you know, just as a group for us to decide, and you could just kind of lead that. And, you know,
okay.
That would be.
I'll come up with some things that we can talk about.
Okay.
Because I've had tons of ideas about that kind of stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, I kind of thought it was something that you were maybe interested in. So, but it's totally. I mean, it's it's up to you.
No, I think that's important that we have something like that on the city website, so that.
Anything
especially
else?
for our local people, because all those people don't know that they live in a historic district.
Right.
It's like, hey, if you live in this area, these are the resources that are available to you. You should probably.
Well, and I think even some of this footage is stuff that we can. But the website, I mean, how often I don't know. What do people go to a website for these days? I go to
the city website all the time.
Huh?
I go to the city website all the time.
But you're kind of a researchy kind of guy, right?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, still, if I own a house, I have to know what like codes and stuff that are here. So like, okay, do I need to pull a permit for this or for that? I mean, I think a lot of people don't know about the certificate of appropriateness because I see a lot of work of people doing work on their houses in the historic district, and it's like, well. I don't know if they're really following historic preservation guidelines and stuff because they probably don't know if they live there and that they should be following that for having a home in those areas.
To kind of follow up on that on this first item, Tara, I mean, and I just put your name there as well, and this is all open for discussion. I just had to get something out, but I think related to what Carlos is saying, the whole certificate of appropriateness process. I mean, do we even really have a policy or a process? I know we're following it now.
Yeah, there's an ordinance there's ordinances, and I was gonna print them and have them there.
So we could talk about that, and is there a way to share that with with the public and be a little more.
When somebody comes in for a permit, I always check and see if where they're zoned at. So we check to see if they're in the historical district before they start work.
I mean, that's another thing that would be great to have a budget for, is to come up with that list of all the houses, all the residences within the historic district, and send them like a packet. Like,
that would be.
You are a part of the
We've talked about for the
Like,
city doing some information because our building inspector is not happy with people doing work without permits. So
what?
we were gonna do something for Facebook and stuff in the newspaper to explain, a little blurb. Hey, if you're doing this, this, and this, you need a permit.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be anything different for doing that for historical.
Well, it would just have that. I mean, definitely we would want to include the element of historic preservation, not just planning and zoning.
I think she's thinking about citywide, where like everybody needs to know this. Like, if you fall under this, you should be doing this. But I think for us, it's just those people in the historic district just be notified. Hey, this is available for you. These are the things you want to do. If you're going to be doing this on your house, you should be doing this and this and this.
So maybe when you talk to Audra about budget, I think what we're saying is that we would that's what we're talking about. We're talking about trying to do outreach information to people on the core zone, and then for us to do another event. Sure. Because seeing this today is sort of like, Oh my goodness, I mean, you know, we need to do another something, right?
Well, we have to.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I know, I'm, I'm excited, but I'm also.
We got a plan, that's it.
Okay,
We
we
just
can
make
talk
sure we
about
plan ahead. Plan ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, not a problem. I can talk to Audra tomorrow.
Okay, just so she kind of knows that we're focused on some things and it's not just because we want a budget. We want it for certain.
There's a reason we want the budget.
Important things that we want.
There's a reason. We just don't want money. We want a reason. Yeah, no,
Make
not a
her
problem.
life more, make her life easier as well, sorry.
Who has those uniforms?
The uniforms, I believe,
What's the name of the ball team, right?
Judge Chickers have them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she has.
Yeah, I believe that's she, well, they, yeah.
Because she's the one that purchased them, and I'm
No,
sure
we purchased them.
Oh, okay. Well,
They're for the Historic Preservation Commission. Because I don't know, I'm thinking I wanna go a different route this time, like.
Well, do we even have that on the, we don't even have it on the agenda?
Yeah, for the.
Echoes 24, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, you have it under 5 for the
Do
budget.
I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
oh, Echoes event, yeah.
Yeah, so we need to
Yeah.
remember to
well,
talk
we
about
can
that.
talk about it and.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we all need to like come up with ideas for it and then bring it from time. Start hashing out what we want to try to do.
so that's where that will be. It'll be at Space to Create, 9 a.m. And the forms term norm is just a thing. I just want to do a quick, you know, this group turns over like all the boards and commissions seem to do, you know, and you get together, you get to know, you know, form, oh, who are you? How do we work together? So very short, it's not therapy or anything, so be comforted by that. It's just a way to kind of say, how do we work best together, that kind of thing. Okay, anything else, any other reports? I don't have a report. Commissioners, do you have a report? Anybody?
No, I just want to say that I'm sorry I haven't been singing. I tried last month, and the link that I got sent, I mean,
Our system had been getting worked on that day, and my tech guys decided to plug the internet in the wrong outlet.
okay. So
They
anyway,
fixed it, but it was like 20 minutes later.
You were attending, so
yeah,
we just.
but I should from the here on out be able to be here in person. If not, then I'll make the best effort to be online.
We need a strong commission, and I just appreciate everybody's efforts and being here tonight for sure. And Ms. Tara, did you have a report? Anything else that you needed to add?
I did talk to Steve and the mayor about the liaison position. They said that is not appropriate since we make decisions that go to city council.
Well, I'd heard otherwise,
But
that's, I'm not
Steve
gonna
said if
fuss
you
with it.
had any other questions, you feel free to make an appointment with Kim and he will talk to you one-on-one if you like.
Okay.
But he said he will be there for the retreat, so we
Yeah,
can do
we
that
can
too.
maybe talk about it at the
But
retreat.
I thought that Steve said that it was because
The
everything's
mayor,
online.
the mayor stopped him on that one and said
Okay,
since
so
we
maybe
are.
there's a disagreement.
Yeah, he said that
Yeah.
since we make the decisions, like the two that we
Right,
did
like you
today,
said to-
we are going to go to city council. That
I think my interest is just that the commission have a more direct link to city council and that we have this, that they're hearing what we're doing. You know, I think even with the Echoes event, there just wasn't a lot of involvement as much as there could have been, and hopefully when they see the footage, you know, they'll appreciate it because it is valuable and this commission is really valuable and I want it to be valued, so however we can do that.
Yes. Well, we can talk to the mayor and Steve and see what they suggest to make it.
Perhaps after the election.
We'll be having a whole new mayor and a whole new city council.
So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I moved to adjourn.
Alright.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.